What is going on, everyone? It's Ultimate Spy 53 here, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed number 122. And today, I'm going to be reviewing the movie Matilda. So what did I think of Matilda? It was pretty good, actually. It was actually pretty wonderful. It's a classic, actually. It's a classic 90s movie. It came out before I was even born, actually. It came out about a month and 24 days before I was born, because I was born on 26th of September of the same year. So I didn't even have to just watch it when it came to theaters, obviously, but it was still a really wonderful story. And obviously, as of this August, it'll be 22 years old. So just before I turn 22 will be, meaning like a little more than a month before I turn 22. So that's pretty cool. And honestly, it's a really sweet movie. It's honestly adorable, and I had a couple of problems with it, honestly, in terms of the characters and you know, all that stuff. But I mean, other than that, it was a great movie. It was wonderful. It told a very important story. I think it was a very important story to tell. And so basically, it's about Matilda, who is a genius. Basically, she uses telekinesis to do with her problems, meeting her parents, her education, and the main villain of the story, which is Trenchbill. And I'll tell you, it's wonderful. I love movies like this where they tell a really important lesson, and that was this movie. Basically, it starts out with the Wormwoods, which are this family of New Yorkans. I don't know if this sounds is New York, but they're a family of New Yorkans who adopts Matilda as a baby for no reason at all. I have no idea why they adopt her. Just adopt her, and like, why? Why adopt her? Especially when they adopt her, they just leave the card. Like, they don't care. They didn't care. Like, I'm kind of confused why they even wanted to adopt her when they don't have reason to adopt her. Like, what's the reason? They just adopt her because they can? Like, what the hell? But it's still really interesting because it's just like, it shows how families can be. How some families can abuse their kids, and they can just treat them like crap. And this one, obviously, it didn't even, like the narrator said, they didn't realize they hardly even noticed they had a daughter, and they did. They realized it was pretty serious. But basically, the only fantasy part about this movie, because it is a fantasy comedy film, there is some comedy in it, but that when they call it a fantasy movie, that's literally just the telekinesis part of it, because there's not really any magic or any fantasy things you would do. Anything like that. It's literally just the telekinesis involved in it. So it's set in I feel like it's set in either the 60s or the 80s. One of the two. I can't remember exactly. I don't think it specified what time period it was. I think it's probably around the 60s or something like that. I want to say, but I don't know exactly. But basically, the reason why it's a fantasy movie in that regard is because of the telekinesis involved with Matilda. And that's literally it. So yeah, it's pretty wonderful. But one of the really interesting thing about the movie was that the narrator and the dad played in the movie, Harry Wormwood. He is actually played by Danny DeVito, who actually directed it. So he plays the narrator, he plays the dad, and he directed it, which is pretty cool. It's not being really, I don't see a whole lot of movies anymore where they have the director do all of his work. I mean, a lot of directors, they are in the movie, but like, not going as far as having multiple roles in the movie. I don't really see that happening. I mean, I know that Chokey had the same thing with Thor Ragnarok, and Peter Jackson had the same thing with Lord of the Rings Hobbit trilogies, but it wasn't really a thing in this movie. It was because that director had a lot more to do with it. He narrated the story, a good chunk of the story, and he also directed it, and he played the dad. So I kind of looking at a behind the scenes feature for this film, and like, it shows how directing and acting is working. Like, how can a director also act? Basically, you're in costume, you get ready to shoot the scene, you say action, and then you play your part, basically, which is really interesting. But the only good thing about this movie, I mean, obviously there's always like the bad stuff in terms of the plot, and so the good wonderful things. So obviously, the Trenchbill, or Miss Trenchbill, they call it the Trenchbill because that's what her last name is, but basically, she's played by the same actress who played Aunt Marge in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the third movie, and that movie came out about 8 years after this movie came out, because this movie came out in 1996, so and then Harry Potter 3 Prisoner of Azkaban came out in 2004, so she played that role 8 years later, and not bad. But she's obviously a British actor. Well, she's Welsh, but she's in the same country, same kind of thing, same continent, I guess you call it, Europe. And yeah, it's interesting because you have a bad side of the movie, which is Miss Trunchbull, and then you have a good side, which is Miss Honey. And Miss Honey is in the movie, she's a wonderful person, caring, and just amazing in general. But the one thing I found really interesting about the character of Miss Honey was the fact that it's never implied that she's married. Like, she's never married at all. I don't think so. I don't think there's a Mr. Honey at all. Like, I think that she's a single mother, or at least like, especially when at the end when she adopts Matilda, she's a single mother. So I'm guessing that like she remains a single mother with Matilda. It's just never shown that she has a husband or anything. It's literally just her. She's never married, which is interesting. Because I kind of was hoping that was gonna be solved, that was gonna be something where we would explain more about that, because we don't really get much more than that. Like, oh, is she married? What's going on here? But she basically the good thing about the movie was her. She was like the wonderful thing about, oh, she like the school's horrible, the teacher's horrible, but it was one good thing. There's a really nice teacher. So, and it also made me recognize Honey from playing May Parker. I think it was about 2014's Amazing Spider-Man 2. She played. I think it was also the first one too. I think she made a cameo in the first one. I can't remember. I think it was the first one and the second one, but it might have been the second one only. I can't remember exactly, but she played that character. That's the only thing I recognize her from. So she was basically a role that she played almost about 18 years later in this movie, and it's just amazing. And so basically, what's really interesting about the school is that it's this horrible place they want to go to until, of course, at the end of the movie when Miss Trunchbull is defeated. I mean, by that she just means she just gets basically just runs away from the school. And then Miss Honey becomes principal, and then it's like they had to add another upper level to the school because the kids wouldn't want to leave, kind of thing. And then she becomes principal, so it's like, nah, no, all the reason not to leave, because you have this wonderful person, this absolutely amazing, wonderful person that is teaching there. Of course, she didn't want to leave. I mean, seriously, who wouldn't want to leave? But yeah, I will say though that this movie tells a really important story about family, because it showed that how horrible a family can be, especially a family who doesn't even care, but that doesn't even realize that they adopted a daughter. Like, seriously, they adopted Matilda without really realizing it, and then they just treat her like trash. They're absolutely horrible to her, and it isn't until I think it's because Matilda is a big reader, so she's reading in this scene, and she basically destroys the TV because the dad wants her to watch TV. Like, he basically forces her to watch TV. Like, puts his hands on her head and forces her to watch TV even though she doesn't want to, because he's just had a horrible thing. Like, his hair got bleached blonde, his hat got super glue in it. In general, he's just not having a good time, so he wants to watch TV, and was reading a book, and he basically forces her to watch TV, and then she actually realizes that she has telekinetic powers, which is interesting. Like, she actually finds out that she can do things like that. She can break a TV. I mean, either it was that. Obviously, it was the fact that her telekinetic powers broke the TV. The one would think that it was just a TV. It was just like not worth it. But it's obviously her powers that was involved. But it just shows you how a family can be horrible. It really can. It really can show you like all of them. Even the mom, all of them. I definitely, you can definitely feel sorry for Matilda, because she's going through all this crap, and it's just horrible. Of course, until she meets Miss Honey, but it just proves to you that a family, depending on the family, they can be horrible. They can be absolutely horrible, especially a family who didn't even need to adopt a kid. Like, why adopt a kid if you're gonna treat it like shit? I mean, seriously, it doesn't make any sense. But again, that's just a point about the story of the movie, about like how a family like this can really be horrible, and it's like, yeah, I wouldn't want to live with them either. The one thing about Matilda that I loved a lot about her was the fact that obviously she grows up to just, I mean, all the actresses who play Matilda are absolutely adorable, and I believe the one played by I can't remember her name. I think Mara Wilson, I think her name is. Basically, her character in general is a bookworm, and she is really smart. Like, she went to the library, she read all the children's books, read all the magazines in her house, and it just shows you that she's really smart. Like, she's born really smart, and she knows. I think the math problem was 13 times 379, which is like 4,270, like 4,000 something something something. It's a crazy number, but like, and there's one scene in the movie where like she answers the math problem where she's like, it was like first day on school, and she answers a very complex math problem that Miss Hunter just throws out because she just want to see, oh, because I don't know, I think anybody really knows this problem, but like, well, let's learn how to multiply this number. And then she just throws out the answer. Like, wow. It shows that she's really, really smart. And honestly, it's amazing with what she can read and everything like that. That she's smart, and she can do all this sort of stuff. And even Mr. Wormwood decides to rattle her on how smart she be. Like, oh, I'm gonna punish you because you're smart. Like, oh, I just happen to be born with a gift of being smart. So the dad's gonna try to punish her for being smart. It's ridiculous. But just in general, it's just really a wonderful story. I loved it. I thought it was amazing, and it just like I fell in love with this movie. It's a classic '90s movie, and it's just great. It's a fantastic movie. One thing about the movie that I will say that was horrible, like a place you would never want to go to, is the Chokey, and that is basically a small hole in a wall, basically behind a door with nails, and it's horrible. Like, this horrible thing in it, and there's actually a scene where she goes into there, and it's like, it's a very interesting punishment for a school, but it's terrible. I think I would like, if it was ever in a actual school, I would be concerned, but like, the fact that they put this concept into the movie was very interesting because obviously, it's a very horrible thing that happened in the movie, but like, wow. Yeah, I would never want to go in there, but like, I don't know, like, it just, the reason why the Chokey is in there in the first place, it shows you how horrible Miss Trunchbull is, because in the end, obviously the actress in real life is a very nice person, obviously, all the people who play villains are nice, but like, it shows you that you can have fun playing a villain, and then also have fun making a device that is meant to represent how horrible Miss Trunchbull, because the Chokey is there to represent how horrible Miss Trunchbull is. That's basically the whole idea, which is really, really interesting. So, yeah. And in the end of the movie, which is a very sweet end, because apparently the Wormwoods end up moving to Guam, or something like that, and they force Matilda to go with them, even though she doesn't want to go with them, because they're horrible parents, they don't care about her at all. Like, why would they take you with her? Why would they try to take you with her if they don't care if they have a daughter? Like, good gracious. Like, I don't know what the deal with that. That's one of the flaws about this movie. It's like, they need to write the parents better. Because the parents, again, I keep running into this issue, is the fact that why would they adopt Matilda in the first place if they don't even take care of her a whole lot? Like, they don't even, I mean, in fact, Matilda had to take care of her, like, I feel like at 4 years old, she was able to take care of herself. I think only like a 30-year-old would do it. I mean, I'd be able to take care of myself fine, but like, I just find it really interesting that they would try to take her away from her, and of course she gets adopted by Miss Honey. In general, it's very wonderful. I love that ending. That ending was great. But the fact that she basically adopts her, and then she basically becomes a mummy to her, and it's wonderful. I mean, there's not really a dad involved, really. Not really. The idea is that, of course, as before, that Miss Honey is a single parent with Matilda, and she adopts Matilda. That's how it is. I just wish that they would have give us more information on Miss Honey's backstory aside from what we got with which brings me to my next point, which is the fact that Miss Trunchbull is actually the aunt of Miss Honey, who's really Miss Jennifer, actually. And unfortunately, the reason why this is brought up in the backstory is because Miss Trunchbull is the only family she has left. Even though she's a horrible person, she's the only family she has left, because her mother died, and then her father apparently committed suicide, or so we think. Of course, the idea is that, of course, I think Matilda realized that he probably didn't commit suicide, probably had something to do with Miss Trunchbull. I don't know exactly what happened, but basically that's it. And in fact, towards the end of the movie, we see Matilda using her powers, her telekinetic powers, to not only use Trunchbull's first name, which is Agatha, against her, but using Magnus, her father, Trunchbull's father, to basically send her away. Basically, that's the idea. It's a wonderful use of powers. It's fantastic. And again, as I said before, in the end of the movie, Matilda and Jennifer Honey, they basically get the one they get a family, which is honestly wonderful. And I couldn't be happy with it. But again, I still have issues. There's still a lot of issues with this movie. It doesn't mean it's a terrible movie. No, it's a great movie, but like it still has issues. I think it got like 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's actually fairly decent for a movie like this, but I still think it could have been better in terms of the writing, in terms of the characters, because the characters, especially Miss Honey, they don't really get more explanation besides one backstory, like one little scene we get, and that's it. So, but I mean, honestly, in general, I thought it was a very wonderful movie. I liked it. It's wonderful. I absolutely adored it. I think that the actress Mar Wilson only went on to do a couple more things, kind of like with Jake Lloyd, where in Star Wars Episode 1, where I think he did one or two things after he acted in Star Wars before he just stopped, and I think he even went to prison or something like that. I don't know what happened, but basically, a similar situation happened to Mar Wilson, where she just, I think, something happened, and with the movie itself, people hit it on it because it could have been better. I don't know exactly what happened, and she didn't act as much. I don't know exactly what happened, but I think she just retired it. I don't know exactly what happened. I think it doesn't say that she retired, but it says she's a former child actress, means that she was an actress, not necessarily retired, but like she just means she was a former child actress, which is different from being retired. So I thought she was actually retired, but yeah. In general, it's a wonderful story, great narration, great characters. I liked it. Matilda's really amazing. She's wonderful. She's so cute. She's adorable. And honestly, it's a fun movie. It tells a very wonderful story. But I still think that the writing could be better, the characters could be better, and overall, every movie has an issue. But this movie, I could definitely see that there could have been improvements with the stories, especially the parents. I mean, come on. Why adopt a kid if you're not going to even pay attention to her, or like, why adopt a kid? Why? What's the point? I don't understand it, but still, great movie, and I'm going to give it a 8 out of 10. I'm docking off points because of the issues that I found, but like 8 out of 10 is actually pretty good. So I'm going to give it 8 out of 10, and honestly, pretty darn good movie, and I really enjoyed it. I really, really, genuinely enjoyed it. It was fantastic, and I loved it. So anyway, that's going to do it for this review. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Reviewed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. I really do appreciate your support. And, if you're new to this channel, subscribe for more episodes of this series and other series I do, as other great content. And I'll be back next time with another episode. Alright? See ya.